Daley. Paul is author and journalist. He moved to Canberra in 1993 and obviously liked it and stayed. He writes a weekly column for Fairfax and is the author of The Shiva, A Journey to Australia's Forgotten War, which was shortlisted for the Prime Minister's Annual History Prize and won special mention in the Manning Clark House Cultural Awards for 2011. He's also the author of Collingwood, A Love Story, 2011. An immediate reaction. I'm not into football, it just passes me by. Armageddon, Two Men on the Anzac Trail, 2001. And most importantly, particularly in this context, Canberra, 2012, one of New South Publishing's history cities. He's worked as a political writer for the Sunday Age, as a foreign affairs and defence correspondent for The Age, a London correspondent for Fairfax, and a national affairs editor for The Bulletin. He's won a Walkley Award, no less, for investigative journalism, and for the Paul Daley Award for the Press Gallery Journalism. So we're very fortunate to have Paul here tonight.
Thanks very much. There's a lot of Carlton supporters in the audience, obviously. Thanks very much, and thank you, Michael Piggott, for inviting me here to say a few words and to launch Ted Ling's remarkable book. It gives me added pleasure to be here because this place, Albert Hall, is such a special place in Canberra's history, in its past and its present, actually. Those of you from other cities may not know very much about this understated but pretty elegant building. And I admit that as a Canberra bloke, that is someone who was not born here or who lived here for 45 years. I didn't know much about it either, and then I did basically Albert Hall 101 when I started writing a book about Canberra, and thanks to Lenore Coulthard, who's here, I learned a great deal more than I ever thought I would about the place. Lenore tells me she's in the process of, she's racing to a deadline on her own book about the Albert Hall, and I think that'll be a ripper when it's out next year. Just a little about the place. After it opened in 1928, it quickly became the cultural and for a while the civic heart of the England capital that had slowly been taking form on the dusty limestone plains. It's no exaggeration to say that this place became seared into the memory, into the consciousness of successive generations of Canberra people for the central role it played in their cultural, social and political lives. To make the point, here's a few telling bits of trivia about it. After Prime Minister Stanley Bruce opened it in March 1928, there was an emergency of sorts where the velvet curtains here caught on fire and everyone had to be evacuated. So we're hoping that doesn't happen tonight. A few months later, Canberra's very first and compared to today, very simple Anzac Day ceremony, complete with many of the blokes who had actually landed in Gallipoli in 1915, took place here. For a long time, thanks to the German projector up the back here, it was the city's major cinema until 1965, the main theatre, with seating for up to 750 people. It was the biggest venue in the city. The debutantes from St Gabriel's Girls' School, later Canberra Girls' Grammar, entered society here with the consorts often from Boys' Grammar, and up the back there, where you can see up in the heavens there, loitered Canberra's matrons of the day, gazing eagle-eyed down on the charges. The fathers, meanwhile, prowled around the dark exterior, amid the trees with torches, trying to stymie illicit drinking or much worse. It wasn't just for the private schools though, it wasn't an elite place at all. High schools from across the city had their graduation ceremonies and formals here too. Albert Hall was always the venue for public protests and hearings and speeches and celebrations, not least for the end of World War II. H.G. Wells delivered a captivating speech here one night on a sweltering night in 1938. As soon as he finished speaking and took a few questions, he raced out to join up with the local firemen who were fighting a bushfire on Black Mountain, devoid back then of that coastal tower that characterises it today. Australia's very first citizenship ceremonies for post-war European migrants were conducted here in the 1950s, and for many decades before self-government, this was the venue for town hall style public meetings about planning, social and civic matters concerning citizens.